Hello and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show live. It's the Preston 2, Leeds United 1 instant match reaction. I'm Stephen Brown and with me is Jason Bucker. Welcome along, Jason. What can you say about that, Leeds fans? 2 days ago, we beat Ipswich 4-0 and everything looks right in the world. We're closing the gap. And then typical inconsistencies never really turned up today. We've lost 2-1. A moment of absolute madness from Melier that whether you say he shouldn't get sent off for it or whatever you say about it, doesn't matter. You can't do that. I don't know what he's thinking. He's cost us big time there. You know, it's 0-0 at that point. We weren't playing great, though. It's not just his fault. But overall, extremely disappointing. A pitiful performance against Preston today, in my eyes. And a real kick in the teeth after what we did against Ipswich a few days ago. And it's not good enough to beat Ipswich 4-0 and feel on top of the world and then put in a showing like this. Because if Ipswich, get a positive result against Leicester today, then they've got the same advantage they had before that 4-0 at the weekend there. Jason, you and I were texting on and off throughout the game when we normally do when it's going wrong, I must say, because you're just so infuriated. You feel like you've got to get it off your chest. But how disappointing is that?
There's so much to kind of break down and go through, I think, out of this one. But I'm just going to start off by saying that anybody trying to defend an angle on Melier that it weren't a red card, you're just wrong. It's as simple as that. You're wrong. Sure, he doesn't make much contact. Does it mean that the opposition player should be rolling around? No, he's not struck him with any sort of force, but it's a red card. It's as simple as that. It's a red card. And the Preston players were looking for it. They were after us all game in terms of, nasty challenges, being forceful. And they got Melier to bite, and he did. And he cost the team today because 0-0, you're absolutely spot on, Brownie. We weren't playing well, and we'll come to that and the reasons for that. But the game was still finally in the balance at that point. Let's say it as it was. Preston were terrible. They were really, really poor. They had one player, Miller, out on the left, which again we'll come to breaking down that situation because that's probably my biggest irritant today. Is what happened on the left hand side of the pitch against Archer. But at that point, Melier, you have to show your experience. They're talking about him playing 150 times for Leeds United today, and he goes and does something stupid like that when your team needs you the most. It's funny because when the ball was floating over, I thought, oh my God, he's caught it. And funnily enough, it ends up being the fact that he's caught it. Then he ends up getting in that ruckus. He'd have been better punching the bloody thing. And it's just so unnecessary, Brownie. It's so unnecessary. There was a little bit of a coming together with the attack. I don't even think he made much of it. The player comes across to defend him, and then he pushes him in the face. It's stupid. It's just moronic. And it does cost us. It does cost us because the game's 0-0 at the time. Anything can happen after that. So for me, it's a key moment in the game, and I am not for 1 second going to try and defend the situation, defend him. It's a red card all day. What do you say about the performance? 2 days after, I texted you before the game even started and said, I'm starting to think that we're going to get a points deduction if we make any changes to the squad. We play as well as we did the other day, and I came on the review. We said just before going live now, we fear sounding a little bit flip-floppy because we're back and forward with the opinions on Daniel Farker and the team and the tactics and all the rest of it. Facts are, I came on the review the other day and said Daniel Farker got it right. The team turned up and played brilliantly. But again, today, 2 days later, that doesn't mean that you then don't make changes. And for me, I just think it's criminal that 2 days after playing a game like that, you're so arrogant to not make any changes. And then I also messaged you saying this. I'm sorry, I'm venting. But the greatest thing about Bielsa was the fact that he would make changes when he realised very quickly that he got it wrong. And he would do it in the 20th minute, the 10th minute. It didn't matter. Like, if somebody got yellow carded early, he'd take them off. Like, he made the decision. And he was strong with that. Today, it was so clear from 5-10 minutes in that Archie were getting cooked. He was getting demolished. Fine, you've made a mistake. Swap him over. Just do it straight away. Jed Spence showed several times that he had the pace to recover and get back goal side. He showed it on the opposite side. Just move him over. But no, it has to be done the way that he's set up. Daniel Farke is right. That's it. And he's just so frustrating.
I don't get it. It's the simplest thing in the world to do to get them switched at the fullback positions. I mean, how many times have we seen it this season where Gray starts to get cooked on that side? And yes, some games he's fought back and he's actually, turned out a good performance in the end. And I don't know if Farke's thinking, all right, he'll get the hang of this as the game goes on, which fair enough, it might have happened. It didn't happen today. He was second best all day, and it's so frustrating.
So it should have happened at half time. The latest it should have happened should have been half time. Byron should have come on at half time for Archie and gone to left back, and Spence should have taken up at right back. It was so obvious. The only outlet that they had the whole game, Browney, was Miller on the left hand side, and he looks a decent player. His goal was well taken, but the defending in the run-up to that was so poor. And Matteo Joseph, had a part to play in that as well. He didn't come around and support Archie enough. But ultimately, we have to criticise Archie when he doesn't have good games. And he had a terrible game today. He was really, really off of it. He weren't the only one. There weren't many that played well today. But
no,
I mean, I'm going to say straight off the bat, it weren't one of these low block games. I don't think it was a Sunderland at all. Sunderland came and sat back and defended extremely deep in a low block and hitters on the counter played for the odd moment. This reminded me of Birmingham, the Birmingham performance away from home, or maybe even the Hull performance where we didn't really do anything. There were big open spaces. They gave us the space to play in Browney, and we today individually and collectively didn't make them moments count at all. You think about Somerville today, so off the pace. His touches were going all over the place. Stinker. Rutter with first half were the same. He came into his second half. Pirot was non-existent. Dan James on the whole had a really poor game. A couple of moments that he showed intelligence in the second half, but poor game. Kamara was off it. I thought he was poor as well. The only real players I thought that came out of it with any sort of credibility today were the back two, Rodon and Stroke.
We were mentioning, we texted each other. I think we both thought Stroik was excellent today.
I thought it was excellent. Yeah,
stepped up for the penalty as well, guys. Thank you for all your comments. We're going to get to them shortly. Please do smash a like on the video as well. Yeah, I mean that is infuriating because I knew, I certainly felt strongly that within 20 minutes I'd seen this. But how many times have we seen this performance, Jason? How many times are we going to watch it where it's sloppy, it's slow, it's predictable, things aren't working? Change it up, do something. Honestly, it drives me insane, especially the fact that he's not freshened up that team at all from 2 days ago. And as soon as players are, loose touches and misplaced passes, and I honestly was just infuriated straight away because I knew exactly what we're getting today. And I think because I put a tweet out saying this felt Sunderlandy, and I understand totally what you meant in terms of Sunderland set up differently. But for me, what that meant is just how sloppy we were, and
I know what you mean.
What we were doing and how poor we were. I mean, Somerville today, you know what? Somerville has been outstanding this season, and I can completely go, you know what? It wasn't his day today. Absolutely wasn't his day today. But that just get him off at half time, make the changes quicker, do something quicker.
The individual performances were the same as the team performances. So often this season we've got away with maybe not playing brilliantly as a team because the individuals have stepped up. Somerville's, taken on two players and created a magical moment, or Rutteraz, or Pirot's got come up with a fantastic finish, or whatever. Dan James has burst to the byline and crossed one back. Whatever. All of them moments didn't exist today either. Somerville was so off it today. I mean, he could have come off at half time. He could have done. Not that you would, given his recent run. I mean, the fact I thought it was hilarious when you said Somerville will miss the penalty, given the way that he's played today. And I'm like, Brownie, he got substituted off 20 minutes ago. That kind of typified the way that we played and the way that he played, because you've not seen him.
No,
not seen him, mate.
No,
I thought they were terrible, Preston, by the way. I thought they were so poor. The opening 5 or 10 minutes, they shanked the ball out of play 3 times, just clearing the ball. They were so poor, and they grew into the game and were like, you know what, actually, these are here for the taking. And they went at Archie all game. that went down that right-hand side.
We do nothing. We don't address it at all. We just, it's fine. Just let it happen. Let's just keep watching this. I honestly, it's absolutely infuriating. Some of your comments, then, guys. Let's get to it. Gail, Meslier had caught the cross. So what was he thinking of? Although the game wasn't going well before then, I just couldn't believe it. Do you know what actually happened, Jason? I didn't actually see it originally, so. Meslier caught it, and he kind of he's a little bit like, pushy and shovey with the guy. And I remember thinking, like, calm down, what's the matter with you? Like, what are you, but I think I went to go get a drink or something, came back, and suddenly Mellier's walking off the pitch. I'm going,
well, the other player, the other player came in to kind of like back up his teammate.
And he's like raised his hand.
Meslier just went like that and just pushed him right in the face. And I mean, he's not gone to do it with any intention, but the second that you push somebody in the face, it's a red card. It's simple as that. It's just so stupid.
It's just unbelievably naive. And like you say, for a person who's played so many games, I mean, we did a debate show this week about whether he's, how good actually is Ilya Meslier? Is he going to be our future? Is he our present? I mean, Jesus wept. I mean, it's just, that is poor today from Meslier.
Well, mate. René, he did get a yellow card. So Osmajic, who came over and defended the first player that was in the shove with Meslier, he did get a yellow card. It's irrelevant. It don't matter whether he did get a yellow card, didn't get a yellow card, or should have got a yellow card, or shouldn't have got a yellow card. Meslier deserved a red card, and it's for what? Like, you can almost defend a defender who's last man, taking out a player, stopping a goal scoring opportunity or whatever. Or even a mistimed tackle sometimes can be, it happens, that's football. What happened there today was just immaturity. It looked inexperienced. It's negligible to the team. Like it's so bad. I'm so frustrated by it.
I'm with you. Honestly, it's absolutely appalling. Martin, thanks for your comment. Needed changes to the team from the beginning. Farker has to rest players. I mean, what is going on, Jason? How many games on the trot has he played? Same starting 11, and against Ipswich, should have that bit of a longer break from Coventry. They had the full week. They looked like they had energy in the legs, and it was a great performance. There's no getting away from it. But for two, I mean, what is it? 3 days later or 2 days later?
It's wild.
It's crazy. It's mad. That is bonkers. You got Nonto sitting on the bench, raring to go. You got Gruev, who we've not seen much, who's, raring to go. You've got players there that you can do something with. You got Byron back. I mean, geez.
The most obvious one is Sam Byron for Archie Gray. Archie's played nearly every game this season. And he's still playing out of position. And I mean, I'm not being funny, but in the run-up to this game, you would know that Miller is their best player, is their most dangerous player. You just start Jed Spence in his optimal position, and you bring Sam Byron back in at left back, who can't play 2 games in a week anyway. So then we're going to need somebody else on Friday. Away from home, we are way worse than what we are at home. So just make the change. It just makes no sense, Brownie. It makes no sense at all. It is almost beyond stubbornness into just this realm of, and we sat here frustrated, we're third, we're on the back of the Ipswich game, and it's because we know that it's there for us. We have to beat these teams that we have to. I saw a bit of the final word the other day, and I thought they were a great back and forward between a couple of them with regards to the games that are actually more important. The Ipswich and the Leicester wins. We've taken 9 points from 9 against the top 2, yet they're still in the top 2. Yeah, they've lost to us, both of them. Ipswich have dropped 6 points to Leeds. Yet these are the games that actually count and matter. Away at Preston, you go there and you get a 1-0 win or a 2-0 win, and you see it out, and you come home, and we just can't do it consistently enough. I mean, this away situation is a real problem now, Brownie. We've lost to Birmingham away, Stoke away, Preston away. These are not good teams. Sunderland away, Sunderland are a decent side, but you get my point. Like
that away form is really concerning, isn't it? That you're absolutely. I mean, I'm looking through it now at our away form. I mean, you can even go back. I mean, that Norwich game, we were lucky to win that.
Yeah, we were
2-0 down in that game. Then we followed that up by losing to Stoke away. And then obviously, and you're absolutely spot on, like the guy said on the final word, we beat Leicester away, and it's this unbelievably complete performance. But then, a few days later, we draw to Rotherham.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is going on? But this is not good enough. This is why we're third in the table. I find it just absolutely bonkers what is going on. I really do. Let's have a look at some more of your comments here. Yeah, Martin, why do we always do this when we have a chance to move close at a second? It just feels like this is the way it is in this team. I mean, to watch those performance levels drop off. I mean, individual sloppiness. I mean, is that tiredness? What is that? I mean, what is that concentration? Is that not being up for it as much as you should be? I mean, why are basic things just not happening in those games, those Rotherham games, those Stoke games, things that, we did so well against Ipswich?
I think there's a couple of things. I think fatigue will have definitely made a part of that today. I think they gave a hell of a performance against Ipswich. And then I also think that if the tactic and the structure doesn't work, if the opposition don't play into exactly what Daniel Farke's setup needs, you then see lukewarm performances like today. And they also, the performances rely heavily on individual moments of brilliance. I've said this before. It relies on Somerville to break the lines, or Rutter to break the lines, or Dan James to drive it. And if them moments aren't there, you don't create anything. We didn't create anything today around it. The lack of chances that we created today was horrific. It really was. It was really, really poor. I can't think of a really good moment. Rutter had a chance from the edge of the box.
Yeah.
It's so few and far between. Spence got in the left side a couple of times in the first half, but it's marginal.
Yeah.
And that for me is what's really letting us down, especially away from home.
Yeah, no, indeed. Andy here, thanks for your comment. Rutter today trying to just run through players, not holding up the ball, really poor, like a lot of players today. I mean, so much hinges on Rutter as well, doesn't it? In terms of him, spinning and turning away and galloping forward, and really creating things for us. And if it's not quite happening, it becomes a little bit of a problem, doesn't it?
It felt like everything was through him second half. If we didn't put it through Rutter, that were it. We didn't have any clue or idea how to break them down. Because some of them were having a poor day, especially. I mean, Pirro was non-existent. I know he came off.
See, this is another thing, though, that I'm getting fed up with this, Jason. I'm getting fed up with the fact that, I mean, he scored a brilliant goal against Ipswich. That's one of my favourite goals, is that the footwork, the finish.
Yeah.
And then a few days later, it's the hollow man. There's no performance there. And I don't necessarily blame him even.
I don't blame him.
I feel it's a complete structural failure, when you can't get a player like that getting into the right positions and being more of an influence. I mean, how many games have we said this about Pirro now, where there's just no impact? And it's, we beat Ipswich 4-0. It was super comfortable, but then today you go and lose. What are you supposed to do with that?
I don't know what we say from today's game. Because at the end of the day, we've had this conversation before. I really don't want to flip flop. It's something that's important, that I'm quite consistent, and I have said this all season. And then sure, we have a game like the Ipswich game where you have to credit the performance in its isolation and say it is what it is, but Daniel Farke is costing us points. He is costing us points, and some of the individual performances can cost us points as well. But for me, structurally, away from home, we have to do something different, and we have to be more open to making changes to the squad. Like, even though I wouldn't have agreed with it today, if Nonto had come in for Dan James, I could have totally got on board with it, because you're using the squad. You're doing something different. These hungry players that are desperate to get back in are given an opportunity. Yeah. Or you're using some common sense, and you bring in Spence to play right back. I've said this since Jed Spencer's been fit. I've been calling for Spence to be playing at right back. I know it'd be harsh on Archie. He's played well, and he's had good games over the last 3 games as well. Still doesn't mean that he shouldn't have been dropped today. He's 17. He's 17 years old, and the amount of strain on his body, he's just stupid.
Yeah, I don't, and it goes, it flies in the face of what Farke said earlier in the season about protecting young players and all of that kind of stuff as well. It just doesn't make sense to me. Kevin, this backs up kind of what you were saying as well, Jason. It's naivety, it's complacency why we lost that match. With Farke, it's one way or the highway. It certainly feels like that. Arthur, Anthony, Paveda not used anymore. Arthur needed Bamford on, holds the ball up. I mean, I'm so frustrated, and I agree with you. I don't want to flip-flop from Farke's getting it wrong to then suddenly Farke's amazing. I hate to do that. I don't want to flip-flop that, but the team is so inconsistent. The performances are so inconsistent at this stage, and yes, we've got a fantastic points tally, and yeah, we know we'd be probably first in any other season, but that's not a situation we're in, and expectations are through the roof, and it's just, I mean, to beat Ipswich 4-0 and then just a few days later to have a performance like this, it's just inexcusable for me. It really is. And Meslier, to do what he's done there, I mean, do you see him struggling to get his position back now? Darlow comes in. I mean, what did he do for the goal, by the way? It's like, I saw someone say, has he got arms? Like, the ball kind of just loops past him. You're thinking, well, throw your arms at it. I don't know.
I think the players coming onto the head of Darlow's going the other way. Could he say, you know what? We've not seen enough of Darlow to start critiquing whether he should be a better shot stopper or not. On the whole, I think the position's now there for Darlow to win. He's got 3 games where Meslier is going to be out. I don't think you can say any more about that. I mean, Meslier for me has been average at best this season. He's been woefully inconsistent in shot stopping. His collections have been poor. His distribution is mediocre at best. I think he's probably better at it than Darlow. I don't know, but he cost us today. I don't agree with Enzio's point at all. We were poor.
Let's bring that on, Nick, because Enzio, you said the sending off did not cost the result for me. We were poor before that. 100% need to change team for games like this. Disappointing after the Ipswich result and performance. But I think probably same as me, you do feel like that Meslier moment is crazy. Putting yourself to 10 men at that point.
The game's finally poised. And anything can happen at that point. There's still the opportunity that we go up the other end with a moment of brilliance and win the game when we've got 11 players on the pitch. There wasn't a lot in it. We weren't playing great, but Preston weren't dominating the game. So I don't agree with the fact that it didn't cost us. It certainly cost us. We conceded 3 minutes later. While we were still readjusting. So I don't agree with that at all.
Alisson, we're too nice. Get a bit of blood on your boots. Well, I don't know if Meslier was too nice today or not. Alisson, to be honest.
I think Alisson's got a point with that, though.
Yeah, generally.
Yeah, I think, especially in that first half, they were sticking it on us, and it looked like we didn't really fancy the fight.
We didn't cope with Sunderland, though, Jason. Sunderland was so aggressive when we went there, and we looked like we didn't want anything to do with it, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Skip, West Brom beat them 4-0. Ipswich beat them 4-2. Leicester beat them 3-0. Typical complacent Leeds. Frey totally picketed by Miller today. Gray, obviously. I mean,
they lost 5-1 at home.
I know.
They lost 5-1 at home to Watford only a few days ago, mate. Last home game.
I know, and the commentators on about them just want to secure their league position and stay up, and then you've got Leeds kind of try to get promoted, and you put in a performance like that. Skip, we had 2 shots on target, none in 75 minutes. I mean, with that forward line and that power off the bait, what is going on? There's a great point actually here that I want to bring in from Martin as well. We've got players that should be getting a game on the bench, but he's running the first 11 into the ground. Shackleton, Joffe, Bamford, Anthony, Nonto, Creswell, etc. Play them. I mean, this is becoming a real issue now, Jason, because you have... Okay, I'm not for... a second saying Shackleton should be the main man. Joffe should be the main man. Bamford and co. But, I mean, come on. They've got to be getting more minutes than what they're seeing at the moment.
I don't get it. I've lost I've lost the will to even speak about it too much because we've been calling this all season. Yeah. Since he's had this settled 11, literally, he just rolls out the same team every single week. And don't get me wrong, I understand that it's good to have a consistent 11. I get that. Certain parts of the pitch, you really want to have some formidable partnerships. Centre-back, centre midfield. I can understand them being the same players week in, week out. But the rest of them, you have a squad to change it up. to freshen it up, to do different things, to keep players hungry. Like if I were Nonto or Jaden Anthony or even Bamford, I'd just be like, oh, well, I'm going to get brought on in 70th minute anyway. So my training, I'll just kind of go through it a little bit this week. It's just bizarre, especially 2 days after a game. It makes no sense. It's honestly negligent.
It's bonkers, isn't it? Really appreciate all your comments, guys. If you can pop a like on the video as well, that'd be amazing, and do subscribe as well to the channel for more content on Leeds and our other teams here in West Yorkshire. And when this man popped up on the TV as well, Jason Ridsdale just sat there. You're just thinking, it is just not our day, is it? It is not our day. Were you disappointed after we go to 10 men? Because obviously we were texting at the time, and you still thought there's a chance we can do this. And with our transitional power, with the players we've got, on the break, it was feasible. But then, a few minutes later, we go and concede. I mean, it's just, don't even dig in, did we? We didn't even really dig in to kind of give ourselves 10, 15 minutes after the sending off, at least.
At that moment, we needed to hold on for 5 or 10 minutes. And I thought, as Preston then went forward to start seeking out a winner against 10 men, we'd get moments to hit him on the transition, on the counter, and it could actually play in our favour. And I don't think that's unreasonable to think that might have been the case. And unfortunately, the first time that Miller gets the ball on the left, he burns Archie again. Archie has no support cutting in, a good cross, and Jed Spencer's terrible at the back post. I mean, it's a terrible defensive goal, regardless whether Darlow should have saved it or not. Defensively, it was terrible. And really, really disappointed to have seen that so quickly on the back of that, because we were still in the game. Like 10 men's not a death sentence. We saw that by being able to get back into the game. We end up, I don't know whether it's a penalty or not, really. I thought we were a bit soft personally, but we win it and we find ourselves back in the game. And then again, the 2 goals were carbon copies of each other. Burning Gray cutting in on the inside onto his right foot, and he whips it in top corner. Like, it's not difficult, really. It weren't difficult. That first goal wasn't that difficult for them at all. I mean, Jed Spence is massive, and he just doesn't get up and challenge Brown at all. No, so really disappointing, man. I can't even bloody articulate how frustrated I am with it today.
It's beyond aggravating. Mark, when things aren't going well, Farker doesn't know what to do, should have done something about Gray at halftime. And this is what I've been saying. I mean, how you allow that to continue, especially when you've even got on the pitch someone who's more than capable, just through his pace alone, recovering would be enough to sort that issue out. I just don't get it. Skip, we don't have that game changer number 10 who knows how to run games. Rutter is good, but he's not what we need. Do you think we miss someone who runs games for us, Jason? I mean, we've got Ampadu who kind of can dictate tempo. You've got Kamara who's kind of box to box. You've got Rutter who picks it up deep. But are we missing that real linchpin of someone who can truly dictate a game, aka Pablo Hernandez type?
I think we really see it away from home in the moments where we need the intricacy of a 10 to kind of pick holes in a defence. We really, really see it, because Rutter's not like that. He's more direct. He's Rutter. Somerville's the same. James is the same. So yeah, I think we really, really missed that away from home. A Samu Saiz, a Pablo Hernandez. There's plenty out there. Ilya Shea, I've been saying it since the bloody summer. Would have been so easy for us to go and do. He'd have made such a difference in moments, not just today. Like I said earlier, I don't think today's game was. I don't think it was lost because Preston came and sat back and played a low block that we've notoriously struggled with. I don't think that was the case at all. I think today's game went the way that it did because we played really poorly. We were really poor in the way that we moved the ball, the pace in which we moved the ball, the desire that we had to win the ball back. Everything felt a little bit like kind of go through the motions. That's how it felt today. It weren't that Preston were like having this fantastic rear guard. Like the other week when we played Sunderland as an example, I thought Sunderland played really well with the tactic that they came and played that day. They defensively were excellent. Preston weren't that today. It's just down to us.
No, and as Enzio says here, seems more like a mindset issue. We were well up for Ipswich as it was a big game, but looks like we could just go get a break and score. Such a waste of a game and points is that. And that's the frustration.
That's the point.
That is the killer, Enzio. The wasting. You've wasted a performance like that. You've wasted that performance. Because look at Southampton. Southampton now are drawing 0-0. They're above us in the league now. I mean, how worried do we have to be about Southampton? I mean, I think there was this assumption that, if we catch Ipswich, we're fine.
They're undefeated. Top two. Southampton.
I mean, it's it's scary. Their form is absolutely scary. They're along with Leicester, the most informed team in the league at the moment. And I'm sorry to say, but I just can't see anything other than playoffs. I just really can't. I just think we've just got too much evidence now that we're just not consistent enough. I mean, there's 22 games left. I just don't see us suddenly being able to do it. And I don't think we're going to have the benefit of other teams just letting us find our consistency. I don't see Ipswich slowing down. I don't see Leicester slowing down. And I see Southampton, putting their foot on the gas, which is, they'll be above us today, Southampton.
I predicted Southampton to win the league at the beginning of the season. Obviously, they had a similar kind of transition to us, and they're finding their feet, maybe a little bit after us, but their consistency and the way that Russell Martin's got them playing, they've got some good players. They're going to be in and around it, mate. It's definitely not a three-horse race. I've never believed that. I thought Southampton would come back into it. I would expect that Ipswich and Leicester will keep going at a certain rate. I would expect Ipswich to drop more points. I think they're going to find it hard to stay in that top two. But yeah, you best believe that Southampton are going to be there, mate. And I'd agree with you because, after the game against Ipswich, I was very much in the mindset that it's there for us. We can catch them, but we've seen this before, and we've had this conversation before about these games, which they're costing us our top two position. They are, and it's down to us. It's not down to anybody else. It's down to the way that we set up in these games. So I have I have a very similar kind of feeling to you. I think that January is massive. They need to go out and make a couple of real statement signings if they're going to hope to get enough points on the ball between now and the end of the season. We need an out-and-out left-back who can play every single game, and we need an out-and-out 10. And Daniel Farke needs to change too. He does. He needs to change because for me, aside from, individual moments, the short fallings that we've got in the squad, we could have made this situation so much better for ourselves with the likes of the game today. I think of other games as well. Coventry at home, not so long ago. We've now only won one in the last four. That needs to be remembered as well. And we've lost two of the last four as well. Yeah. And I put it down to Daniel Farke. He's got enough there to win them games, mate.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. 100%, absolutely spot on. And as Matt says here, good managers have the bottle to change things early when you can see things aren't going right. Great point here from LUFC. When they double up on us and get in our faces, we don't cope. It certainly feels like that. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, we certainly seem a bit fragile.
Switch playing it.
Aggression, not aggressive.
Switch the bloody play, man. You give it to Ampadu and you get it over to the other wing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
As Martin says here, they had a game plan to niggle us. We took the bait, especially Melier. Andy, not consistent to get top two will be playoffs. Martin, even Firpo on if Byram's still injured on the left, Spence on the right, Gray to the bench and give him a rest. What's frustrating with the Gray thing as well is, let's just imagine that his name's not Gray. Let's imagine it's Shackleton or something else, and he hasn't got the kind of the dynasty behind him and the potential. If that was like, 24-year-old Shackleton putting in those performances, he would be getting hammered. I don't want Archie Gray to get hammered because he's 17 and he's got tons of potential. How much of a disservice is Farke doing, though, by relentlessly playing this kid over and over again in not his best position and exposing him to, a fan base that are going to start to point this out and get frustrated. And, it won't be long before, if it keeps happening, that, a bit of negativity towards Archie happens. I don't think that's fair at all.
Browney, for me, if you're a championship level player, whether you're 16 or 35, the critique that you get should be exactly the same. It's first team professional level football. So for me, if Archie plays poorly, he's going to get critiqued exactly the same as Luke Ayling or Jamie Shackleton, and that's how I think it should be. And I think the consequences that then come with that should be exactly the same as well. And for me, he's been crying out to be put on the bench over the last few weeks. This is not the first time we've seen this. We saw it against Jack Clark, against Sunderland. We've seen it on several occasions, and I don't blame him. He's been played out of position. He's done extremely well. But at what point can the manager not see that? How can he look past it? I don't get it, Browney. I don't understand it. For me, it is pure stubbornness, but it's beyond the stubbornness that we used to see with Bielsa and a Tyler Roberts, or because I've seen a few people make mention to it. The great thing with Bielsa is he would always say, made a mistake here, or this ain't going right, I'm changing it. And it would, I saw somebody mention about him taking Phillips off after 10 minutes when he'd been booked. I remember it happening myself. And you think, Jesus Christ, like there ain't many managers that would do that, but that's what the top level managers do. And today he should have seen it. He did see it, but he chose to ignore it because he thinks it shows weakness in him. And it doesn't. He should have made that change early, even if it were just swapping the sides.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Adam, well, that was a surprise result, and is exactly why Leeds ain't in the top two. Definitely one of the best teams in the league, but not consistent enough to rise any higher than third. Southampton now winning, so there'll be 3 points above us. If that stays, Skip, the pressure is only going to mount on this team and Farke at every game from now on. Going to see if they can cope without the weight of expectation, say, of wearing that Leeds shirt. And this is the thing, you see. I mean, you've got the weight of history, haven't you, on Leeds as well, and the expectation, the pressure, the fact that we're most teams' cup finals as well. It gives teams extra 5-10%. You can just see it every time. I mean, Preston, got a win against a top team today from, with their league form. It's ridiculous, really. For me, this remains our best chance of getting back to the Premier League. In the short term, is going up this season. I think things were such a mess in the summer that it kind of maybe dampened expectations, or you certainly thought this is going to be tricky.
Balanced it a bit.
But then when the season gets going, you see the quality in the squad, and you see the depth of the squad. It's really tricky. It's really tricky, and I think Farke obviously has got a sublime reputation at this level. But I think there's some questions that are getting asked. And I think I think one thing we have to be ruthless, Jason. Like we've got to be ruthless. I'm not in any way saying make a change or anything, but I think if we have this type of season and we don't go up, then I don't know.
I'm still like I've sat on the show now for 40 minutes and critiqued everything about Daniel Farke. I'm still right behind him. And I still believe he's the man to do the job. I can just see his limitations. I can see his weaknesses, and I can be frustrated at what he gets wrong. I certainly think that August and the way that the season started and all the turmoil has made an impact on where we are, because I would believe that we would probably be 5 or 6 points better off. I think that's fair. If it hadn't been for August, and if we'd have had exactly what we have now at the beginning of the season, I think we'd have been probably 6 points better off, which would see us then losing to Preston today 1 point behind Ipswich, right? So it does change the dynamics a little bit. I understand that. However, since August, we've still gone on and lost 4 games. Yeah, we're still losing games that we shouldn't be losing. We only lost 1 game in August. Yeah, before the transfer window closed. Yeah, we did drop some points to draws that would have been avoidable, Cardiff, West Brom, etc. But for me, since then, and especially away from home, I ain't got a problem with the way that we play at home. Away from home, there's a problem. There's a problem that he just seems reluctant to fix, because we keep turning out the same players, the same performances, the same tactics, the same structure. It looks exactly the same.
Yeah, no, agreed. Nice, thanks for your comment, mate. Not acceptable today, very poor. A view from across the fence as well, near Liam Miller, unplayable. Very disappointed with your lot. Besides the penalty, did you work our keeper? No, to be brutally honest there, Ian, thanks for joining us. You're absolutely spot on, to be honest. I mean, if that were the first time you'd seen Leeds this season, you would wonder how they were third.
We were poor. We were really good. I would, sorry, Browney, I would go as far as to say that that's the worst we've played this season. Genuinely, I think that the Birmingham away performance was so similar, but we had a completely different team. I would say it's very, very similar to the Birmingham away performance. Lack of cutting edge, lack of real individual quality on the day. That the players that we've relied on this season didn't show up. I wouldn't say that Liam Miller was unplayable. I just say that we got it completely wrong against him. And after we saw that it was going to be a problem 10 minutes in, Daniel Farke just was like, nah, that's the decision I've made. Archie's just going to struggle against him for 90 minutes. Yeah. Go about your business. It's wound me up something rotten.
Yeah, and Mark alludes to it here. Do you think that Farke has a stubborn streak and that's why he's never done well at higher level? I mean, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I know he kind of set in his ways, wasn't he, at Norwich, certainly. And I know the excuse of lack of money being spent is kind of what it's attributed to, but it'd be interesting to know, because where was it in Germany as well for a season, wasn't it? Much back, wasn't it? You know,
I think stubbornness. You have to have a certain amount of it. You know, we all herald Bielsa as the best manager we've ever seen, and he had buckets of it. You know, Howard Wilkinson was the same. I'm willing to bet that Don Revie was exactly the same as well. Like, you have to. Alex Ferguson, Wenger, that they all live and die on their sword, and they stand right behind their beliefs. That's fair, but you can't just have blind faith in it. And that's what it feels like with Daniel Farke sometimes. It makes zero sense what he's doing in some of the decisions, but he does it anyway because it's Daniel Farke's decision.
Exactly. LUFC, we won't win 16 games out of the next 22. I mean, like, with our away form at the minute and our performance, you can't see it, can you? John Mellier needs to go. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Mellier going forward. We've got some post-match comments in from Farke, and now he says he was disappointed with his side's offensive game in the first half. Felt a yellow card for both players would have been adequate in regards to Mellier's red, and adds that he shouldn't have given the ref a decision to make in a spicy atmosphere. I mean, that's the crucial one, isn't it? He's not critical of Gray, as he wants to emphasise that the problem laid with the attack in the first period. And he says he needs to go back to see the goals when assessing Darlow's performance, but describes him as an outstanding keeper. And Mellier is looking at a 3-match ban after that red card. Oh, I mean, what a miserable, stinking day that is. You know, it's a day where it leaves more questions than answers, doesn't it, really? It's not good. Mooks, Mellier cost us that game. He must have not had his mince pie, or maybe had too many, I don't know. Shocking. Skip, be interesting to know what the board are thinking about this. I think they're ruthless. I think that board are going to be ruthless. I think Parag Marath and those guys are not going to mess about. You know, they are not going to mess about, and it'll be interesting to see what they do in January with the transfers. Really,
I would be stunned if anything happened short term, but I would believe that if we got to the end of the season and we're finishing the playoffs and we lost the playoffs, let's say, I reckon Daniel Farke would have 5 to 10 games at the beginning of next season to show that he's the man to win the division. I would think that they would expect him to be clear, and if he wasn't, I think he'd be gone. I don't think that they've got any loyalty to somebody that they think, if they've lose faith in him, they need promotion. And I think this season is where they see it happening. If it doesn't, I think Danny Farke would be on a short shoestring next season.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. Adam, as an Ipswich fan that sat and watched our team get torn apart by Leeds, feeling a little bit happier now. Yeah, I can imagine, because it was... it's frustrating because, you know, I came on after that game and thought that we had the keys to the castle, and I was saying to everyone, I was thinking, that could completely change the momentum of everything now, you know, if Leeds can push on. And I'm kicking myself for thinking that, because to go and throw in this performance a few days later is so frustrating. So frustrating. Eric, I thought you'd won the league after Ipswich played you on the ref.
I mean, for me, the Ipswich game shows the very, very best of this team and what it can put up. And today showed the very, very worst of what Daniel Farke and this team can put up. I would say that it shows Ipswich's weaknesses. I wouldn't see today's Leeds performance and then think, okay, that we're all right now. Personally,
no.
And I mean, Scooby, Mellier's not unlucky. He's not, mate. I'm really sorry. if you're seeing it this way, you're just kidding yourself. It pushes him in the face. You can't strike an opposing player in the face. It's as simple as that. It's naive, and it's just stupid. It's just moronic, and he did cost us the game for me.
Yeah, there's an interesting tweet here from a journalist that I'm going to read out, saying not a massive pop at him. But I don't think Farke has shown anything particularly special outside of naming a series of very talented footballers for the division. We don't look great whenever we have to think our way through a game. Yeah, it does feel a little bit like that.
I agree with that. With that. I think I said something similar the other day before the Ipswich game. It feels very much like any manager could and should really be getting this level. I'm not saying that he's done a bad job, because he's had a lot to contend with as well, and we've seen some really good moments too. So that's why I want to be so careful with flip-flopping, because I hate coming across as if I'm being inconsistent. But that's exactly true. It's true.
It is. No, absolutely. Well, unfortunately, guys, I know there's quite a few of you watching along. Really do appreciate all your comments. Please do like a video, subscribe to the channel as well. You'll always get mine and Jason's thoughts on Leeds and everything kicking off. It's been fantastic to have you along, though. It's certainly a bit of a therapy session, isn't it, after a game like that? I think we're all very angry and frustrated at the moment as Leeds fans. If you're watching this review a little bit later, get your comments in as well, please. Let us know how you felt about today's game, because that's a real kick in the teeth. Well, Jason, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Boxing Day. We'll see what we can do from here. Hopefully, results will go for us. Although I don't think, I can't see Swansea getting back in against
Browney. It don't matter, does it?
Well,
in the nicest possible way, it doesn't matter, because we go and beat Ipswich and then lose to Preston, who are woefully out of form. So, in terms of what other teams do, it genuinely don't matter. Well, we're so inconsistent in picking up, so inconsistent in being consistent. So yeah,
I think Reddy sums this up perfectly as well. Well, my Leeds headache is back today, and I think that pretty much sums it up, doesn't it? If it's always seems to be the way with Leeds United, doesn't it? Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your
Happy New Year, guys and girls.
Happy New Year, absolutely. I've been Stephen Brown. With me has been Jason Booker. Jason, thank you very much, mate.
Cheers, mate.
And we'll see you again, guys, soon. Bye bye.